When the Discovery Channel announced in the fall of 2014 that its next major stunt would be to air footage of a man being eaten alive by a giant anaconda, people were immediately skeptical.
This is a green anaconda. I'm gonna feed myself to one.
Eaten alive.
You see, around this time, the Discovery Channel went through a phase where it just started lying to people. Every single one of its sister networks, as we've talked about extensively, were airing these mockumentaries with ridiculous claims, such as having evidence that proved the existence of mermaids or giant prehistoric sharks living in the modern day. Yet, unlike these other mockumentaries, which used a lot of actors, this time around, the Discovery Channel had this guy going around doing press interviews, explaining to everyone what it felt like to be eaten alive.
What was it like being eaten by a snake?
You know, what you're gasping for air through this suit.
They showed us the special suit he wore to be eaten safely.
So I had to be able to survive the crush part. So we had a carbon fiber suit designed. The suit was uncrushable. We were testing for how much pressure the anaconda would be squeezing with.
There was no wiggle room in the lead up. This was going to happen.
Eaten alive.
Snake just says, well, I got this big thing here. I might as well get a free meal.
Rosolie set out to be eaten alive by a green anaconda.
What happens next?
We're gonna get me inside of a snake.
Won't go down easy. Oh my God, he's going to be swallowed. But you ever just lie?
How'd you get out?
Very carefully.
They don't tell you how the tightrope walker, makes it across. You got to watch on Sunday.
You ever know when someone's lying?
You have to go head first.
But we're also doing something that's never been tried before, and that is to feed a live human being to an anaconda and have both parties live to tell the tale.
Oh, now the snake's gonna talk? That's a little much, don't you think? But the crazy thing is, just to make this all more convincing, the first ad for the program aired during another stunt. Discovery presents Skyscraper Live with Nick Walinda, who actually did walk a tightrope between 3 Chicago skyscrapers. An event which 6.7 million people tuned in to watch live. And like before, they used the credibility earned from airing this other program to lure the audience back in to lie to them like a snake. Yeah, this is Billiam, and this is when the Discovery Channel lied about a man being eaten alive. Anacondas aren't the only predators you should be worried about. There are others slithering in the dark wanting your data. Thankfully, I keep a shark with me for protection because shark beats anaconda. That's right, today's sponsor is Surfshark, the VPN that keeps me secure while I'm out and about exploring exposed to scaly predators on public Wi-Fi. I like scheduling out my week at local coffee shops, but hooking up to so many different public networks makes me nervous. But Surfshark lets me hop on public Wi-Fi without worrying about the security of my private data. Also, Surfshark keeps my information safe when I'm surfing at home. I don't have to worry about malware or viruses infecting my system. And it lets me get around content censorship in my state. A great thing about Surfshark is it lets you connect all of your different devices to one account. So it's like you're protecting everyone in your household in a special snake-eating suit. One that lets you browse the web without any fear. So if you want to secure your data, go to surfshark.com/BilliamDeal or use code BilliamDeal to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. Not to mention a 30-day money-back guarantee. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring. Now back to snakes. Just to start off on the wrong foot, Eaten Alive was aired as a 2-hour program, and the stunt would not happen until the very end. So how do they try to kill the first 3/4 of the runtime? I guess I would hope with an honest-to-God nature documentary. By all means, Paul Rosolie is a venerated naturalist, and here he takes a team, including his wife and childhood best friend, through the Peruvian Amazon to go to a remote anaconda breeding ground called the Floating Forest, which is actually a remarkable place I was unaware of and easily one of the most fascinating parts of the documentary. It's the backdrop for Paul's hunt as he's trying to capture a specimen that escaped him many moons ago. Chumana, the giant snake. Paul once got his hands on Chumana only for her to escape him. By the feel alone, Paul could tell it was at least 25 feet long, bigger than any anaconda ever recorded.
Ever since that time, I've been trying to find her again.
She's the one who got away. The trip is dangerous, but every scene plays up the situation as if it is certainly life or death right here, right now.
The team will have to face a gauntlet of predators.
They see a cute little capybara, but it's being eaten alive by piranhas. Paul senses an electric eel and makes everyone get out of the water really fast. Then they do a close-up of a little spider and they're like, this guy could kill you if he really wanted to. So don't cross him. The floating forest is in fact a bed of vegetation supported by trees, so you can fall right through the floor. It's beautiful, it's scary, but it's clear the trip did not elicit the kind of tension and drama the producers may have wanted. They're clearly creating this constant feeling of danger in editing. So at times, this whole segment just feels like every other ghost hunting reality show, complete with the soundtrack.
Community member looked for the body more than 15 days and never found.
Not the kitchen nightmares sound. Not Gordon Ramsay finding Chumana behind the grill.
Staying alive becomes the thing that you have to worry about the most.
You know, staying alive sort of seems like a secondary objective when the title of the show is Eaten Alive. I guess you have to stay alive until at least you're in the snake's throat, but what happens after that? It could go either way. I mean, just based off the title of the show. Yeah, the scary trip into the jungle is scary, but it's not ever going to be nearly as scary as seeing a man be eaten alive. Give the Jackass crew the specially eaten by a snake suit and they'll have the whole affair cut down to 3 minutes. Trust me guys, we can make this work. A lot of this documentary edits the team to make them not seem like valuable members, but sycophants who follow Paul into danger because of the cult of personality he's developed.
I trust him with my life.
He stands up on that log and everyone gets worried for his life because he's up there so high, like Icarus.
He's not just some guy, he's one of my best friends. And it's gonna be him and the anaconda. Paul could, you know.
And meanwhile, he's always giving his wife a heart attack, catfish noodling for giant anacondas. And having her be present later for being eaten alive, that's a great thing to make your partner watch. Though I'm sure he's a great conservationist, conversationalist, and just look at him save that drowning monkey. His only character flaw, which could lead to his downfall, is his desire to be eaten by a snake. But not any snake, it has to be Chumana.
Massive anaconda, well over 25 feet. That was the first night we saw the snake that we'd come to call Chumana.
To my knowledge, a 25-foot anaconda has never been recorded. Even Anna Julia, who was reported to be 26 feet long a few years ago, actually measured to be just over 20 feet. But from everything I can find, it is considered plausible that a snake could reach that length. Paul clearly wanted to be the first to find one of these giant beasts.
When you look at how thick this track is, this could be a 25-foot, 400-pound anaconda.
But the show makes me question his ability to estimate size.
I think it was at least 25 feet.
He thinks every snake they encounter is at least 25 feet.
Really big snake.
It's probably about a 25-footer.
Team deploys nighttime surveillance to get visual evidence of Paul's massive snake.
Bro, what? What? Who wrote that? I looked on the internet. Why can't I find out who wrote the script to this thing on IMDb?
Evidence of Paul's massive snake.
Why are they kind of like putting this thing together to make it seem like Paul has some like sexual thing for the snake?
I wasn't thinking in that moment. I just jumped on it. I remember not being able to get my fingertips to touch. You're talking a monster snake.
The man just hopes he can find a snake big enough to eat him. What's wrong with that?
Oh, we have an anaconda.
Grande?
Big in Spanish. But I understand his appreciation for these animals. The ones they're able to gather data on really are quite remarkable. 19 feet long is still a unique and rare animal for production to have come across, not being much shorter than some of the biggest anacondas ever recorded. Look at that there snake.
Grande?
It has absolutely no idea what is going on. It has no clue it was involved in a show that's on Wikipedia's list of television shows notable for negative reception page. That snake is happy because it has no idea its career is already over. Paul looks down the barrel of a snake and says its mouth is like a bazooka. So clearly he wants to experience it head first. And obviously his wife has to watch. I didn't expect this eaten alive stuff to be dark. Yeah, the snakes are cool, yet somehow, like the common Bigfoot documentary, they run out of time before tracking down Chumana, and they give up.
Making it much too dangerous for Paul's team to continue their quest for Chumana.
I didn't even know who Chumana was, or that you were looking for her. I didn't expect this storyline, but you know, you got me into it a little bit. Just to disappoint me.
But Paul is still determined to put his suit to the test and get eaten alive.
Chumana is not gonna eat Paul alive? That's kind of bullshit. But guess what? It doesn't matter because the wild snake was never going to eat Paul alive. Instead, they go to the largest snake they could access in captivity, a little massive 20-footer, to see if she will be interested in Paul, who, not unlike your PS5 Marvel superhero, goes into battle with a specially equipped suit built with chainmail, carbon fiber armor, breathing support, and free leg movement. Just like they're dangling out of a roller coaster, Paul tries his best to be eaten at the very end of the special.
I've spent years getting ready for this moment.
It's an awkward introduction, and the anaconda doesn't really attack Paul so much as they get tangled up with each other before the snake starts squeezing, and he can't get out of there.
I'm wrapped up, and she just has me down.
If that happened to me, I could get out. You gotta explode, Paul!
Explode, boy!
The scene gets the claustrophobia across so well as this massive creature makes Paul completely helpless, starting to constrict and sending Paul's heart rate spiking dangerously high as his wife watches on, but I'm sure her heart rate is perfectly fine. After about an hour of doing this, the snake did indeed put its mouth around the head of the suit, but because Paul's arm got caught underneath the snake's body and started to torque, he bailed out. Obviously, he didn't want to injure himself seriously when doing this, but he doesn't do it again. That's the end. If Discovery Channel really wanted to call this show Eaten Alive, they should have brought Paul back a week later and tried it again. The Jackass guys do multiple takes of their stunts before they get it right. And after the whole affair, all Paul has to say is, oh, I wish it were Chumana so it could have been even bigger and more powerful. So Paul isn't satisfied, the audience isn't satisfied, the snake is left hungry, all because no one got eaten alive. So why call it that? Why not call the show The Snake Begins to Feed? And now, Discovery, if you want that title, it's going to cost you $5,000. You know how to contact me. At just 4.1 million viewers, this stunt did not reach the skyscrapingly high viewership of the tightrope walk, but that number made it the highest rating for a nature documentary Discovery had seen within 4 years. People showed up to watch a man be eaten alive because the Discovery Channel promised us that they were gonna put the Coliseum back in business, baby. To say that people were disappointed by this special would be an understatement.
Well, the internet is outraged this morning by the man who was not devoured by a snake.
Discovery telling us in a statement it was his absolute intention to be eaten alive.
Everybody wanted their own little clever take on it. They're all so original.
The last couple minutes showed Rosalie kind of cuddling with the anaconda.
Alive or just cuddled really tightly.
Now Rosalie's being eaten alive on Twitter.
No, he's getting eaten alive on Twitter.
Arrogantly, the show asked the audience to tweet during the broadcast, making the reaction heard very loud.
One guy wrote, one time I got wrapped up in my comforter when napping, so I pretty much know how this dude is feeling.
2 hours of my life I can't get back. And this dude's a quitter.
Paul Rosolie would go on Jimmy Kimmel to get roasted, but honestly, he had such a great attitude about it.
I mean, hey, we gave it the best shot we could.
Had you ever been eaten by a snake before?
No.
Yeah, well, the show was called Eaten Alive, in fairness.
I mean, I think I owe it to the people of planet Earth to get eaten by something.
I think you're right.
And then finally, Kimmel says something just kind of up to end the conversation on a sour note.
I don't know if you have any plans for the next special, but I would like to see you have sex with a hippo.
Wow, well, I'm not sure I'd
Think
be
about
into that.
the forest, the rainforest, Paul.
You know, Kimmy, I bet you would like to see that.
Jimmy Kimmel told me to have sex with a hippo as my next stunt.
Yet it wasn't only the violence-hungry audience. PETA created a petition taking issue with the whole experiment, and the academic world poked holes in the factual information presented, with herpetologist David Steen, PhD, tweeting through the show, summing the whole thing up with how it illustrates perfectly that you should not be worried about being eaten by an anaconda. The truth of the matter is, nobody has ever been recorded to have been killed by an anaconda. That isn't true for other constrictors, and that doesn't mean it's never happened or couldn't happen, but the idea that it's something people should be gravely concerned about is deeply exaggerated. And the arrogance continues. What's crazy is there is a moment in the program where they talk about how most circulated stories about people being eaten alive by giant snakes are fake. This comes after Discovery themselves ran promotions for months claiming that they had footage of a man being eaten alive by an anaconda, which also turned out to be fake. Though funny enough, viewers who watched the show live would get to see a man eaten alive by a snake when 1-800-CONTACTS aired a commercial during the broadcast featuring that exact premise.
This better make me famous.
Isn't it so crazy that all this public outrage came because people did not get to see a man be eaten alive? But we didn't even want to see it until the Discovery Channel tried to sell it to us. I didn't even want to see the Coliseum open back up for business until the Discovery Channel brought it up. But yeah, we could fill it with water and have naval battles again. It'd be sick. I remember being so curious as to what was going to happen before the show aired, but at this point I was smart enough not to show up. I showed up to watch the Megalodon special, but at this point the Discovery Channel had lost me, and I don't think I've unironically tuned in ever since. So how did this even get made? Well, the snake never told their side of the story. That's a third disappointment. But immediately after the special aired, Paul Rosolie did an interview with The Guardian to tell his side of the story. First of all, during the entirety of the production, the program was called Expedition Anaconda, and he wasn't made aware of the title change until they started promoting it.
What if we show people that anacondas really can eat humans? And I went, how is that a good show? You want me to feed someone to an anaconda? They were like, kid, you're on. And I was like, oh shit.
Rosolie describes feeling a stomach sinking sensation when he saw the final cut of the program, which had now been retitled Eaten Alive. Apparently, he pushed back against promoting it, but Discovery coerced him with some threatening language.
You're right, it was a very threatening phone call. All of a sudden, they changed it to Eaten Alive. And I went, wait, guys, wait.
No.
Rosolie told this story to Lex Friedman, and not 30 seconds later, Lex Friedman is talking about Mr. Beast.
Mr. Beast,
yeah.
Jimmy.
I think looking back on how he promoted the program, it's clear Paul did his best not to explicitly deny or confirm whether or not he was eaten. He wasn't, but he did walk the tightrope, dishonestly leaving room open for the audience to believe that yes, he was in fact eaten alive. Yet I do believe Paul got roped into this, and the majority of blame he should take is that he naively trusted the Hollywood types who packaged the program the way they did. Once he was in bed with the snake, he was already tangled up. I think the ultimate shame of this documentary is that Paul's existing work took a reputational hit because of it. What he wanted to do with the show, above all else, was to get funding to further his environmental work. And raising awareness was the most consistent part of his messaging in the press tour leading up to the airing and the fallout afterwards.
Every single acre here, every inch of this place is so crucial to protect.
Yet still, before learning that Paul was continuously doing this work into this day, I rolled my eyes when the special stopped to raise money for conservation.
Learn how you can help protect anacondas at collectiveconservation.com/anaconda.
Buddy, I came here for a circus act, not to donate money. It's not that this isn't an important cause, it's that it feels out of place with the program's packaging. Watching Rosolie's short made just 2 years before Eaten Alive, it's clear these kinds of stunts were not his bread and butter. Peru, an unseen world, is mainly told through one camera trap, with Paul's simple narration giving information about the life that walks along the Rio Piedras in the Madre de Dios region of Peru. The camera captures a single spot which is teeming with life. Peccaries, tapirs, ocelots, pumas, and at one point, Paul changes the batteries in the trap, and 2 minutes after he leaves, a giant jaguar crosses the very same frame. Its simplicity is significantly more impactful than anything in the Discovery piece, truly showcasing the dense biodiversity of this environment still so deeply threatened. According to Paul, the producers of Eaten Alive wanted to have that deep jungle feel, which unfortunately is still a popular stylistic choice many nature documentaries make, even though it is dishonest. The documentary editing absolutely frames the expedition entirely as a hunt for this supersized snake through a dark and isolated jungle. Every scene is an action scene, and according to Paul, a lot of footage cut not only focused on the majesty and importance of this ecosystem, but of the dangers to the ecosystem itself, because it is not isolated from the rest of the world. Devastatingly, footage they captured of illegal gold mining operations and of the aftermath of a burn that destroyed most of the floating forest the film takes place in had ultimately been cut by Discovery for the final program. The footage you're seeing with Paul now was filmed about a decade later by ABC, but Discovery cut similar footage earlier to create a more fantastical journey, as if the production was Indiana Jones overcoming danger. And while yes, that is a part of trekking out into the jungle, the emphasis undermines the reality itself that the jungle itself is in danger. Paul is still actively working in Peru, having set up his conservation team, the Jungle Keepers, meant to further his mission to protect the Amazon. But that's no thanks to Discovery, as the reputational hit to Paul's career took a long time to heal.
The scientific community was like, you're an idiot. We don't want to ever see you again. I lost a lot of opportunities.
The sad part is, I really do think this could have been a pretty captivating show had the Discovery Channel not titled it Eaten Alive. Imagine if, instead of being at the end, the experiment was at the beginning. Imagine if there was no expectation that Paul would actually be eaten. Suddenly, the snake putting its mouth around the head is now a terrifying rather than underwhelming moment. Then they're gonna go out into the Amazon to find an even bigger snake, bigger than the one that almost ate him. But the sad reality is, would anyone have watched it had that been the case? I'm not saying I wouldn't have enjoyed it had I seen it air, but it wouldn't have been an appointment viewing for anyone. And isn't that kind of the reason why they had to make it so sensational in the first place? So anyways, shout out to our Patreon supporters. You can become a Billiam heir today, or you can join for free to receive our monthly newsletter. That way you don't miss exciting announcements, like that we launched our second channel, or that you can now follow us on Spotify if you want to see Billiam videos on Spotify. I'm working on getting the whole back catalog up, so please, if that's your avenue of choice, feel free to follow us there. And as always, guys, see ya.